What's up everybody and welcome to the Fight Franchise and a different type of video we're doing on the channel, but one many MMA fans will be familiar with due to a famous high profile MMA YouTuber making these type of videos. Fights to make after UFC 305. We had quite an interesting card and interesting fights take place with some interesting results. A bunch of clarity needs to be set across these fights, and this is what I kind of want to see next going in the division for these kind of fighters and their next up and coming fights. So we'll start off with the main event. Dricus du Plessis took on Israel Adesanya, won and defended his world title. Who should he fight going forward? Dricus du Plessis, his next fight and fight to make after UFC 305 is the winner of Khamzat Chimaev versus Robert Whittaker. I know many of you will say Sean Strickland deserves his title shot. It was a close fight. I even had Sean Strickland beating DDP in the fight at UFC 297. But I just think activity is key. You know, Sean Strickland's recent win is Paulo Costa. Whittaker just beat Costa before that, and then Whittaker's just beat Aliskerov, and he's going to fight Khamzat Chimaev. Those three wins deserve you a world title shot if he beats Chimaev. However, if Chimaev beats Whittaker, then Chimaev deserves the title shot. And I know a lot of you are going to get mad at me saying Chimaev doesn't deserve the title shot. Chimaev probably doesn't deserve the title shot beating Whittaker. However, the one thing I want to see for du Plessis is just different competitions for his resume if he's going to be a long-standing champion. You look at DDP's kind of recent resume. Beat Whittaker. Well, we'll go before Whittaker. Beat Brunson, beat Darren Till, beat Whittaker, beat Strickland, beat Izzy, and then if you add Chimaev to that list, it just rounds out his resume better. So even though Chimaev's not deserving of it, it would be a massive fight and a great name on Whittaker's resume if Chimaev won. Most likely, if Whittaker wins, beat Costa at the start of the year, beat Aliskerov, beat Chimaev, you've got those three wins in the space of about 8-9 months. You deserve a world title shot, especially against Sean Strickland, who's just sat out and beat Costa. So yeah, and you do that fight at, if Whittaker wins, you do that fight at UFC South Africa. You go UFC South Africa, Whittaker versus du Plessis for the undisputed title. And we even saw du Plessis in his post-fight press conference say, oh, I'd like to fight Whittaker next if he gets past Chimaev, because du Plessis knows I got past Whittaker easier than I did Strickland. So that's the fight I would make for du Plessis going forward, the winner of Chimaev versus Whittaker. Next up, what's next for Izzy? A lot of people would probably say retirement. Izzy's a hard person to kind of call what's next for him, but I think there is a brilliant fight for him to have, and that is Israel Adesanya versus Sean Strickland. I was kind of looking through the division, and nobody really makes sense. You've got Cannonier, Vettori, who else? I forgot his name. What's the Dagestani guy's name? Not Aliskerov. Imavov, Nasruddin Imavov. But those guys kind of coming up don't make sense. But Izzy has beef against Strickland. He lost against him in what he says, I just didn't turn up. Well, now here's a rematch and here's a chance to turn up and avenge that loss. Strickland would probably not take that fight, but it is the fight to make. And if you sell it to Strickland and say, Strickland, look, if you win, guaranteed title shot next against whoever is the winner of du Plessis and his next title contender. I just think that's the fight to make. Izzy versus Strickland. There's bad blood there, and I think that's one Izzy wants to get back. Izzy avenged the Alex Pereira loss. He ain't going to get the chance to avenge the du Plessis loss, but he goes, okay, he was the better man on the night. Versus Strickland, he didn't turn up, so he'll have a reason to avenge that loss. If Izzy doesn't take that, I don't know what else, because a lot of people would probably say, go up to 205 and fight Alex Pereira. He doesn't deserve that. Not especially, you can't come off 2 losses and get another world title shot. That's not fair on all the contenders at light heavyweight. So I'd say Izzy versus Sean Strickland in a rematch from their bout at UFC 293, and a chance for Izzy to get revenge. And you can do that in a 5-round co-main event on a pay-per-view easily. You could even put it on the co-main event of the next du Plessis title card. So that's what I would do next for Israel Adesanya. Next up, Kai Kara France had a brilliant win versus Steve Ercek, KO'd him in brutal fashion in the first round. Next up for him, I was saying when Makayev got sacked, who would be the next title contender, we found him. Kai Kara-France versus Alexandre Pantoja. And I know what a lot of people will say. You know, Kai Kara-France doesn't deserve the title shot. He still needs to get 1 or 2 more wins. But to be honest with you, there's no contender for Alexandre Pantoja. When you look at that division, Alexandre Pantoja has cleared out that division like crazy. Like, where is flyweight? So the flyweight division looks like this. Royval, Moreno are the 1 and 2. Alexandre Pantoja's already beat them. Then it's Kai Kara-France. I'm pretty sure he's already beat Kai Kara-France before. Then it's Tatsuro Taira, but I wouldn't put Taira against Kai Kara-France just because Pantoja needs a fight. Then Alex Perez, who Alexandre Pantoja's beat. Then Steve Erceg, who Alexandre Pantoja's beat. So really, you just do Kai Kara-France versus Alexandre Pantoja. You know, you KO'd who some people thought Steve Erceg won against Pantoja. So if you KO'd that guy in brutal fashion where Pantoja went to a 5-round decision, you can easily title fight in December, November, co-main event, put on a war, and it will be a fun scrap. So Kai Kara-France title shot versus Alexandre Pantoja. Steve Erceg up next. Steve Erceg got knocked out by Kai Kara-France and he's coming off 2 losses now. You know, he's had a brilliant meteoric rise to the top, but now he's come up against some adversity. Lost in the title fight, which was close, and now he's been KO'd in a fight, which many people thought he was going to easily win. So it's kind of like back to the drawing board for Steve Erceg. Very young in his UFC career and he's got time to grow and learn and become champion maybe. Steve Erceg, who would I put him up against next? It's a very difficult one for Steve Erceg, but if I was going to pair him up against anyone in the division, if you look at the flyweight division, like I said, I wouldn't put him against Tatsuro Taira. I'd do Tatsuro Taira versus Brandon Royval. Winner of that gets a title shot of France versus Pantoja. But then you'd go the one below that because nobody has a clue what's going on with Amir Albazi at the minute. You do Brandon Moreno, I think, versus Steve Erceg, which is a great opportunity for, you know, Moreno to get back in the division and get some heat, and a big matchup for Erceg to, you know, show that he's still one of the live dogs and one of the big contenders at the top of this division. I just think that's a great fight. I think Brandon Moreno said he's going to want he said he's wanted time off after his loss to Royval. This is the time off he's getting. Steve Erceg is going to want some time off after his loss to Kai Kara-France. End of the year, start of next year. Those two against each other. Big win, 2 big wins. If they beat each other and then another win after that, you're back in the title picture for a huge... you're back in the contender bout. So Steve Erceg and Brandon Moreno is the fight to make after UFC 305 and after Steve Erceg's loss. Next up, I definitely didn't see this coming. Dan Hooker beat Mateus Gamrot. I thought Mateus Gamrot was going to kind of out-grapple Dan Hooker, smother him and just kind of win a comfortable 3-round decision. Dan Hooker is in some of the best form of his career. Whether it's, you know, the tattoos, you know, the blonde hair dye or whatnot, or just the amount of muscle. He looks bigger in the octagon. I don't know what he's been doing in those city kickboxing guys. Seems like they've all been on a bit of secret sauce recently, but they've all gotten bigger. They've all gotten stronger. And Dan Hooker, he's showing some brilliant striking power and resiliency going forward. 3-fight win streak, and I would put Dan Hooker against Justin Gaethje. I think Dan Hooker versus Justin Gaethje would be such a fun bout. I think Justin Gaethje's coming off the loss against Max Holloway. Justin Gaethje's not really in the title picture. You can't justify him getting 1 win against the top of the division where he's lost to Oliveira. You know, Sarukian's going for the title. He's lost to Poirier. He's beat Poirier for the BMF, but there's no steam in that rivalry, especially with Poirier not wanting to fight. So Michael Chandler's out. So the only real guy you've got left really for Dan Hooker is Justin Gaethje. And I think that fight would be epic. It would be a war. You could do it a 3-rounder. You could do a 5-round co-main event. But they will put on a scrap for the ages. If you remember when Dan Hooker faced Dustin Poirier at the Apex, what a fight that was. Dan Hooker versus Justin Gaethje would be akin to that, and it would be a great fight to see. And it's a good fight for Justin Gaethje to try and get back a win. He could so easily lose it if they trade on the feet like crazy. But I think Dan Hooker versus Justin Gaethje would be the fight to make next, especially because Dan Hooker should be shot up the rankings after this win. I know a lot of people probably thought Gamrot won, but it went to Dan Hooker's favour, so he needs to go up the rankings. And above him, at the moment are, let me just double check. Above him at the moment are Gamrot, who he's just beat. So above that is Poirier. He's lost to Poirier before, and Poirier's not fighting. Gaethje, who I think he should fight. Oliveira, I don't think Hooker should fight, even though there is a bit of tension there. And then Arman Tsarukyan, and then Islam Makhachev. I just think the most fun fight to make for Dan Hooker and the most appeasing, and one which will keep his stock high, Justin Gaethje. Mateusz Gamrot, weird. Nobody saw. I didn't think he was going to lose. I thought he was going to easily win. And midway through the first round against Dan Hooker, I was like, you know what? This will be a fun fight if he wins versus Islam Makhachev. It would be another name for Islam Makhachev to add to the resume after Tsarukyan. But he's lost, and now all of a sudden his career's just been shot out the window. So he's in a bit of a weird place because he can't fight anyone above him after that loss. And the kind of guys below him, he's just a couple of levels better than. But there is two kind of fights you could potentially make. I'd do Mateusz Gamrot versus Benoit Saint-Denis if he beats Renato Moicano at UFC Paris. I think that's a fresh matchup and a good matchup if BSD wins. And you see Gamrot versus BSD, that would be a good kind of matchup to kind of fizzle out one of those guys and help propel Mateusz Gamrot's career back on track, or get Benoit Saint-Denis' career back on track. But if Renato Moicano wins, I wouldn't pair him against Gamrot because Moicano should fight Paddy. I would, if Moicano wins, wait until Dariush is healthy and do the rematch of Gamrot versus Dariush. Dariush is on a bit of a skid. It's an easy way for Gamrot to get back in the win column, and especially because I feel like Dariush is not going to get in the title picture. Dariush's chance to get in the title picture was when he was on that long win streak. He's on 2 losses in a row now, and there's rivalry there. They fought before. Dariush won the first fight, so Gamrot could get that win back. So that when he's healthy, Beneil Dariush, or if Benoit Saint-Denis faced Gamrot. But those are the kind of options I'd give for Mateusz Gamrot going forward. Heavyweight, Jairzinho Rozenstruik got a good win against Derek Lewis. Jairzinho Rozenstruik got a good win versus I forgot his name, Tai Tuivasa. And a great striking win, and I think he should fight Derek Lewis next. Rozenstruik's fought most of this division, and then I thought about it, and I was like, who hasn't he fought? And I was quite shocked to remember he's never actually faced Derek Lewis. You look who he's beat. He's fought Ngannou, he's fought Dos Santos, he's fought Cyril Gane, he's fought Curtis Blades, Gaziev, Dorcas, Augusto Sakai. And he's fought most of the heavyweight division. The one guy who he's never fought is Derek Lewis. And that's an easy fight to make on a main card of a pay-per-view because it's just going to be a stand and bang war. Obviously, we predict some of these heavyweight fights to be stand and bang war for the ages, and someone's going to get KO'd, and they never do. But I feel in this bout they would get KO'd. And I feel like where they are in the rankings, I feel like Rozenstruik's fought quite much, some of those guys ahead of him, and some of those guys ahead of him are a bit grapple heavy for Rozenstruik, which kind of ruins it. But here, at least you get a fun bout and a big, huge contest, and somebody can get some steam off the win. So I'll do Rozenstruik versus Derek Lewis. The last kind of fight to predict, and the next bout is Walter Walker, who got a win against, was it Junior Taffer? I'm pretty sure it was Junior. I would do a tag team match, the Walkers versus the Taffers. Johnny Walker and Walter Walker versus Justin and Junior Taffer. I think that's the bout to make next. Do the Walkers versus the Taffers. You can bill it as a massive, weird family pay-per-view, and I think it would be a fun, excellent bout to have going forward. You do Johnny versus one brother and Walter versus the other brother, and it would just be a amazing pay-per-view and kind of fun, because I think Johnny Walker probably got murdered in his last fight. He did, I'm pretty sure. It was at UFC. It was against it was against Volkov. Not Volkov, sorry. I forgot his name, the Swiss dude. Oh, bloody hell. I forgot his name. One time. Why can't I remember his name? No time. He got the win against Johnny Walker, so he's coming off a loss. Walter's coming off a win. Justin's been submitted. Was it Junior or Justin? One of them's been submitted. The Taffers versus the Walkers. And you could literally do those fights back to back. You could actually do like a main event, co-main event of like a fight night. Walker Taffer. And you make them 5 rounds and just get 2 brothers to fight each other. And if you can see which family lineage is better, the Walkers or the Saffers. So that's the kind of fun fight I would make from that. Let us know what you want to see. What would you predict for these fighters going forward after UFC 305? Did you enjoy this video? Did you enjoy this style of video? I know there's a certain MMA YouTuber who has this style on lock. It's his style, it's his type of video, but I just thought it'd be fun to kind of jump on and kind of give my thoughts on it. Let us know down what you want to see going forward from me and what kind of videos you want me to make. Let us know kind of what you want to see for these fighters going forward. Leave a like if you've enjoyed the video. Subscribe for more MMA and fight content coming soon. We hope you enjoyed the video, and we'll catch you in the next one.